You're such an asshole.
I will once again, and maybe I should just stop because it's not seemingly having any effect. How, if you follow the instructions on asshole consulting, you will likely save money. For some reason, people guess what I'm going to charge, and more often than not, they overpay. And this gentleman is one such individual. And it's a long video. I'm like, okay, it'll be this amount. He's like, well, I already paid you $250. I'm like, oh, all right. And I have a rule: if you overpay me because you didn't follow instructions, I keep your money. So follow instructions, guys. Follow instructions. Hey, asshole, I first want to express my appreciation for your last response. I think that I failed to write out my last request in a way that wasn't completely stupid, but you still did manage to respond intelligently. Even the parts that were out of a misunderstanding were a needed slap in the face. I would like your advice and frank commentary again. I want to first say that I am not trying to compare myself to others or say that others haven't had it worse than me. There are people who've had a lot worse than me. I'm giving you a backstory so that you hopefully things make sense. Even if you don't have anything useful to say, well, I'll try and say something useful, but you're going to get me zero to pissed off. I'll try and tell you, and I'm going to be brief by telling you I'm going to be brief. No one was ever brief that way. I do need to hear someone read this aloud. I have tried to make this as short as I can, but please understand that there's a lot that isn't going to make sense without a longer explanation. When I was younger, my parents had a really bad anxiety problem. It would make my mother in particular very controlling when made anxious. It also made them very suggestible, which was exploited by the medical part of the world. I was used for medical experimentation from when I was a kid to about when I was 17. The medical stuff started when my parents were introduced to the idea of ADHD. I was trying to have difficulty in school because they didn't discipline me and I was lazy. I'm sorry. I added that part, which alarmed them. Drugs were the thing to supposedly cure it. Yeah, not parenting or anything but that. So my parents got me put on those drugs. I had a very bad reaction to them. When the bad reaction was brought to the attention of the doctor, my parents were lied to and told it was another disorder surfacing that needed to be treated with yet another drug. I don't know. I think my hatred and loathing of the boomers is very well documented. I saw other kids were going through this as well, and what would happen to them. They would be put on more and more drugs or have those drugs change until something serious would happen. Many would end up in the hospital. I remember visiting and seeing kids who were going through withdrawal from 5 or 6 different drugs at the same time, strapped naked to a board, screaming and yelling, and some had electroshock treatment done. And were you in an insane asylum? It's not a hospital. That's a institution. I don't know. I find it so ironic. We have the most amazing, brave parents in the world, and we have government schools, and we have the psychology profession. Everybody's getting worse. It's almost like somebody should stay home and raise the children. Oh. It's almost like people should stay married. The reason this was happening was that the doctors, at least the ones I was dealing with, had a philosophy that drugs could be used to basically tweak a person's personality into what they considered to be ideal. Most of them believed that the drugs were almost perfect and might have side effects, but couldn't believe that dramatically different or paradoxical reactions were possible. They would perceive these things as either another separate problem that was revealed by the drug, or that they failed to somehow follow their own philosophy. They would try different drugs in different ways as they attempted to make it work. Yes. Yeah. Look, I will say that the younger Xers to modern day, Gen Alpha current kids, you're just guinea pigs for the pharmaceutical industry and the psychology profession. Pharmaceutical industry will give you drugs. Psychology profession will test their laughably stupid degrees about the human or theories about the human mind. And your parents let them get away with it because your parents just don't want to parent. That's it. There you go. I solved it. Oh, it's a Scooby-Doo mystery. Oh, we got to get Scoob in the gang in here. No, we just need Aaron Clary to kind of like, people are getting divorced. Parents are parenting. American fathers are pussies. American mothers are kind of a bunch of bitches. I wonder if the kids are going to come effed up. Yes, they are. Good night, everybody. World's greatest social scientist. The solutions are so simple, you can't write a book about them. Yeah, no one's parenting. Oh, okay. Good night. For instance, I was given Ritalin. If I was given Ritalin, my emotions would be suppressed and then amplified during withdrawal. It was seen as emerging bipolar disorder and given another drug. When I would become depressed, I was given an SRI to fix the problem. When I would become even more depressed, the dosage would be increased as well as given yet another drug. Eventually, they became more and more experimental, would use drugs in ways that were not FDA approved or even intentioned for. If you have proof of this, I would go and hunt them down and sue the ever-living piss out of them. Go after them. Get after them. I would even get blamed for having bad effects and told that I was making it up. If I argued with them, I'd be called oppositional defiant and drugged for that as well. They would talk to people, including adults, like they were stupid and couldn't understand their supposedly perfect and superior science. They would completely lie because they genuinely thought that they knew best, and manipulation was the easiest way to get ordinary people to follow their guidance. When I would try to tell my parents that they were being lied to, they basically couldn't listen. No, they chose not to listen because they couldn't admit they were bad parents who just didn't stand up and whatever, discipline you, tell you no, investigate, explain things to you. No, they, right. Ask any single mom, are you a good mom? And you know what? There are some single moms who are good moms. They do a great job. It's rare, but they exist. But you say, was divorce good for the kid? That's where you really tell. If they say yes, did you screw up? No, I didn't know. You did. You just changed. Oh, all right. They were trusting of the doctors who used their anxiety to make them believe anything. The doctors would tell me and my parents that I had a chemical imbalance and that, like a diabetic taking insulin, I needed drugs to correct the supposed imbalance. When I would logically explain how that made no sense, they would surprisingly tell me that I'm correct and that it's a small lie they used to tell people to take the drugs. The crazy part is that 10 minutes later, it was almost like they forgot that they admitted this to me and would continue telling me the exact same lies. My high school years were even worse. I was put in, you're using paragraphs, by the way. Thank you very much. So this is well written. I'll grant you that. I was put into a special class segregated from the normal population. It was similar to school suspension in that I was to sit at a desk all day in a single room with the exception of gym. Yeah, that helps. If I had any minor disagreement with the staff of this special class, I was pushed to the ground and held down with my arms pinned behind my back. All right, so, okay, I'm getting half the story here. You can't do that. Why? Did you act up? Were you violent? Were you under your control or not? The only class I was allowed to go to was gym, and I had to be escorted there. If I tried to leave my escort, I would be pinned down like before, but in a very public and humiliating manner. Yeah, dude. Okay, the problem I'm facing here is you're not telling me the whole story. Adults can't just pin you down and physically intervene. And if you saw people with electroshock therapy, maybe you actually did have some mental disorders. Maybe there was something legit. I'm not for people just throwing drugs at problems in substitution of parenting, but you're not telling me the whole truth here. Public humiliation. I seriously have no idea how I ended up in this class. I recently asked my mother about it, and she claimed she had no idea this was happening. I was able to eventually get out of this class, but the whole experience was utterly humiliating. I'd imagine high school as going to parties and having a girlfriend. No offense to anybody, but somehow instead ended up in a class that was worse than the mentally impaired class because we can't hurt those people. We don't actually hurt those people's feelings. It's the liberal white women whose feelings we hurt and offend. I was so unable to fight off further druggings. I ended up developing a habit of saying no to any question that was asked of me before the question was even finished. I was finally able to get these people off my back when I was taken in to have a procedure done to slow down the frequency of my brain waves. All right, brain surgery? Out of my league here, pal. They told me I was depressed due to not getting enough sleep and that slowing down the frequency of my brain waves would make me sleep more. When I asked for something that validated their theories, they told me they tried it out on cats and cats slept more. I lied and pretended to become very happy with life and actually thanked these efforts for what they did to me. I finally came to the conclusion that I had to convince them that all their stupid ideas and theories are actually working and correct. It got them to mostly leave me alone. I was able to legally tell them to F off when I was 18. After high school, I went to college. Oh, you went and made a collage? That's nice. Some people go to college too, but you went to college. You went to collage and you spelled college collage. Jesus. Because I was told my entire life to go. My parents taught me that the future would consist of two groups of people, being the haves and the have-nots. Right, and the tradesmen who show up on time are the one that haves. If I did not go, I'd be part of the have-nots and have no future. I ended up dating a girl after I graduated high school. She went to a 4-year collage because she went to a collage too? Oh boy, a lot of artistic people. Because she had a full scholarship from being the valedictorian. I went to community collage. After some time, it became apparent that it wasn't working because I couldn't spell college. I'm kidding. I added that. It became apparent that it wasn't going to work because she was some distance from me. After I broke up with her, I was somehow accused of attempted forcible bedroom, not fun time by her. I still don't understand how or why. I knew I hadn't done anything wrong and had actually irritated her with asking, "Are you sure?" before going further with any new step. Dude, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. I don't think it's par for the course, but that's not unheard of. It F with me because I had a little bit of doubt in my mind that perhaps I had actually done something wrong. I did very well in collage up to that point. Are you sure? I didn't even need to study to get A's in every class, but after that, I lost all energy. I left and basically just collapsed. I couldn't finish from that point on. My mother would freak out and tell me how she wouldn't date a man that didn't have a degree and that no normal woman would want to be with me, and would cry because she felt that she wouldn't have any grandchildren because of it. Well, there's proof that she doesn't really care that much about you as much as whether or not you could give her grandchildren. Man, you boomers are good. You're just all good. I found a job, but it's a job that paid $8 an hour as part-time. When I would ask my dad what I needed to do to get a job I could live actually off of, he would respond that I needed to finish my degree. When I would say that I needed a job that I could live off of right now, his response was that I hadn't gotten a degree yet. He would tell me that he was proud of me, but at the same time would also have these Freudian slips about how I was a failure, sometimes even the same sentence. Well, you were a failure at that point. I mean, now keep in mind, every young man is a failure until you become a success. We all are failures until we, whether you go to college or not, or get a trade or drive truck or whatever. So he's not wrong. I don't think it was malicious, merely descriptive. Something snapped inside me. I started having constant panic attacks at that point. I felt like a prey animal, always on guard and nervous about others knowing how I was feeling. I forced myself to go to work. There you go. I finally got a chance at a job that paid considerably better. I took it, but it was constant all-day panic attack every single day. I felt that I had to make it work. I was doomed to be a complete failure. When I got to the job, I was easily running 15 miles a day. Good. That'll cleanse the soul. That'll also make you have a really low heart rate. The lazy and worthless Teamsters at this job would constantly threaten me with the loss of my job so that I go even faster. I eventually got to the point where I had some self-assurance that I wouldn't get fired and got on an apartment and moved on my parents' place. Basically, I lived like this for 10 years. All right, so you worked. Things got somewhat better, but I was still stuck in the constant panic. I felt like I was holding onto a grenade, and if I let go, I would lose everything. I could barely go to the store and buy food. All right, yeah, that sounds legit. That sounds like legit panic, like it's affecting your ability to live. I had to put on earphones to isolate myself from the environment. All the noise and commotion would be just overwhelming to me. I was hypersensitive to everything in my environment. I was extremely aggressive, confrontational, and abrasive. That's not good. I honestly don't know how I had the friends I did. I would argue with anybody and everyone. I wouldn't just want to prove someone wrong in an argument. I would make them feel stupid for having the opinion they did. It was like my whole body was made to fight other people. I prayed to God every day to have this taken away from me. And I didn't go to the doctor because I thought I had an anxiety problem. They commonly give out benzodiazepines. And after 2 weeks, the client is addicted. I want no part of that. Well, yeah, also I'd imagine with your previous experience with doctors. I was also obviously terrified of medication because of my experience when I was a kid. When the virus hit, I wasn't worried about the virus in and of itself. I would actually go around the grocery store parking lot and inside the store playing "It's the End of the World as We Know It" and I feel fine. I would have also spit on the cowards if it didn't land me in jail. I was, however, concerned that everyone else's anxiety might make my situation worse. I had some improvement after some personal things happened, but this made things only moderately better. I also finally recognized just how bad my parents' anxiety was when I saw the reaction to the virus. I knew they had a problem, but it was at a point. Okay, so now we're going to see empirically just how bad it was. But it was at the point that I just finally realized how bad they were and how badly they had been affecting me. Well, okay, what? Did they lock themselves up? I completely stopped talking to him at that point. I didn't want to go backwards, so I finally went to a doctor. She prescribed me a low dose beta blocker. It immediately and completely stopped all the adrenaline. I could talk to people without being aggressive or confrontational. All right, this is good. I could go somewhere in public comfortably. I could taste food and actually enjoy it for the first time. I could hear the lyrics to songs I heard my entire life for the first time. I could actually have calm conversations with people and everyone around me says my personality is night and day different. I went from being underweight to gaining 60 pounds. All right, there you go. Hold on to that, doctor. The problem that I ran into is that once the adrenaline panic was blocked, a flood of emotions came forth. I think my body was blocking using this. This was during the middle of the virus when all the COVID cowards were hiding. I could call people, but everyone was difficult to get a hold of and nearly impossible to actually be around. I couldn't handle all the emotions I was feeling every day. I was going to work and coming home to a bottle of whiskey and a pistol. Well, that's not good. I'm not a neurochemist, but probably should not drink. Not a neurochemist, but you probably shouldn't be drinking when you're taking psychotropic drugs. President, hoping things would get better after the virus passed. Things did get better. I eventually became even more calm. I have thought about the past and have been able to find more clues about why things happen. I have made new friends that I never would have been able to before and still have most of the old ones as well. That's good. I'm comfortable in public areas and actually have a good time. I got exactly what I have been asking God for all these years. I've come to realize that a lot of what happened wasn't my fault. But no, no. I guess why would you? But how would you know? I guess, yes, obviously not. Up until the virus, I thought my experience was normal and actually thought I had it good. No, that is a horrific environment. Don't get me wrong. There's some aspects that really were good. My family might have been neurotic, but at least they did love me and live a decent life, materially speaking. They've started to finally realize there was a problem in the past. I also found out through the same MD that gave me the beta blocker that if I had taken some of the drugs that were being imposed on me, it would have made me literally psychotic. I go find the doctors. I think you're hiding a bunch of stuff from me. People don't end up in institutions and getting slammed to the ground in schools. I would go back. Well, maybe not. Maybe you can't win. Apparently, I lack an enzyme to metabolize the drugs I was given and causes them to build up to toxic levels in my body. On one hand, I feel validated that I was right the whole time, but on the other hand, I realized just how close I came to be given drugs that would turn my brain into Swiss cheese. The really crazy part is that they wouldn't have messed with me if my IQ had tested less than 125. I want your opinion on what I should do. Dude, I can't tell you, man. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a neurologist. I'm not a pharmacist. I can only give you basic bitch advice. Work out, don't drink, exercise, diet right, go out, be social, be happy, do things you enjoy. Right now, I'm 33 years old. I have a job as I don't read aloud. Oh, you don't want me to read aloud. Okay, you're making good money. I have no debt. I have about a good amount saved up, a very good amount. Hell, good thing you dropped out of collage. For the time being, I'm working part-time so as to give myself room to get better. I feel like a failure because I really could have been someone who accomplished a lot. All right, well, we don't get to control the world or the environment we were brought up in. I probably could have gotten a master's degree or something if I had people pay for my food when I was in college. If I had connections within finance or banking, I probably would have made a lot more money. But that's not what the past was. Your past is what it is. It's set in stone. It cannot be changed. And so you can't, I don't know why you would feel guilty about that because you didn't control it and it's outside of your control. Because I really could have been someone who accomplished a lot. How? What was within your control that you could have done better? I don't think you could have done better. Matter of fact, you've done spectacularly great. I wish I could tell people how much you saved up. But I'll tell you right now, even with those disadvantages, even with that hellish environment, you are doing way better than the average 33-year-old. The average 33-year-old has debt. The average 33-year-old still living at home. The average 33-year-old has a joke of a degree. The average 33-year-old has a job they hate. The average 33-year-old does not have anywhere near that amount of money saved up. The average 33-year-old probably has that much in debt. I mean, and if you don't believe, go pick up the book, How Not to Become a Millennial. It's a little bit outdated, but, or just look up data. Like, what's the average millennial's net worth right now? Not what you got. So you have done, and I'm not trying to make you feel better. You're in the top 5% of your peer group, especially accounting for the background and the uphill battle you had when you were younger. You are way ahead. I feel like because I also want to have wife and kids. Hang on. You might have legit mental illness that you don't want passing on. And right now you ain't square with yourself. And so I don't think kids are a good idea. Absolutely not. I mean, you could do what you want. It's your life. But first you better get married. Well, you don't have to get married, but you better find a good quality woman. And that is going to be a very big hurdle because of your tortured past. And until you kind of get squared and perfectly all right with yourself, I don't know if you're ready for a girl. I know that your philosophy of these things happening in a positive context is a rare exception, yes, but I still want a woman that I love and I want children. Before you waste your time, here's what I want you to do. You're going to get this book called The Book of Numbers, and you're going to read through it. And so you know what the statistical chances are of you finding a good quality, loving wife. It's not impossible, but it's very low. And in this book, I'll tell you now, on the high end, it's 2.7%. That's the high end. It's very much likely lower. So please read this so that your brain gets numbers burned into it and it logically, unconsciously says, oh, I have to prepare for the contingency. I'm not going to have a wife and children, right? And then in that contingency, here's how you prepare for it. The menu, life without the opposite sex. I am not saying these things to sell a book, or 2 books in this case. I'm saying these things so I could sell a book and to introduce you to the reality you are in right now, whether you realize it or not, or want it or not. Right? So that's nice. You want to get married and have kids. You have some hurdles facing you. Got some stuff you got to work through. I think it would be to your best benefit and interest to read through that stuff so you don't waste the precious energy and resources you have right now, the mental energy you have right now to solve your problems and kind of deal with your current issue, your own life as it is right now. I think reading those books would calm a certain part of your mind and make you realize if it happens, it happens. But your next sentence better not be, how do I get the girls? How do I find them? Because that means you have hope. And you don't need hope. You need statistics and math and reality. Am I too late to the party? You're not. No, you were born when you were born. I mean, we're all too late. It's not the 1940s or the 1950s. Women don't need men anymore, and women, we're finding out, don't really like men all that much to begin with. They don't hate men, but they're just not that into you. And your generation, yeah, it's not that you're too I was too late to the party. You were too late to the party. Any guy born, I'd say, you could even argue the baby boomer men were late to the party because their women couldn't wait to divorce them quickly enough. So I don't think you're late to the party. I think the party ended 3 generations ago, and maybe you'll find a girl, but it's not statistically likely. So get your expectations in line with reality. Did I miss the chance? You never had a chance. I mean, no, and I take it back. No, you did not miss the chance. The very microscopically small chance. The chance exists. There are good girls out there. They're just exceptionally rare. But the chances haven't gone down. Like, since your entire dating career has been, 20 years? Yeah, if you started when you were 13, puberty to today, that's 20 years. It's all been kind of the same crap statistics. So you didn't miss your chance. Chances have not improved. They have not gotten worse. They are always pretty bad to begin with. So it's there. I have the problem of not being able to hold back all the emotions when there's any kind of intimacy. You got to get that in check. That'll drive girls away. Girls cannot have an unstable man, period. Men can have unstable men in their group because you get us killed in wartime or going to different tribes. Like, no, you need stable. So you got to get stable before you start thinking about dating girls. Also want to know your advice on catching up on what I missed out in my 20s. I'm going to tell you this right now. The reason you are in a drastically superior financial situation compared to your peers is because you did not do all the stupid crap in your 20s. You did not miss out anything there. Not at all. You didn't miss out on getting drunk. You didn't miss out on getting in bar fights. You didn't miss out on getting shot down. You didn't miss out on getting stood up. You didn't miss out on dating bipolar girlfriend. You didn't miss out on anything. It improved your life. And the proof is in the pudding. You are way ahead of everyone financially. And given your emotional, psychological state, it probably would have just been pure torture. I don't think anyone except hot chicks enjoyed their 20s. Everybody else, men and ugly chicks, did not enjoy their 20s. Look at that. Was a waste of time. It was a pain in the ass. I don't want to wake up one day when I'm in my 40s and have some kind of midlife crisis. No, look, I can't show you what you missed because you didn't live it. And so you can only theorize about it in your mind. Like, well, what would my 20s been like? I'm going to tell you, dude, it would have been drunk, poor, stupid, waste of time, chasing girls that want nothing to do with you, car troubles, living in basements. Most people's 20s wasn't fun, man. It wasn't. When you look back at it, it was a waste of time. And I know you think your life is not great or even bad. Dude, your life is pretty good in one key regard, and that is you didn't piss away your 20s. You worked and saved up money. And now, you don't believe me? Go look it up. Look at the average finance of your average 30-year-old. It is crap. And you avoided that. So, you want to get the girls. All right, fine. I'm not kidding, man. Fly out to Vegas, drive to Pahrump, get laid. Pay for it out there. But you didn't really miss out on your 20s. And if I could prevent you from having a midlife crisis, whatever form that would take, what, do you want to buy a fancy car or what? Well, it's not going to get you to girls, huh? What do you want? You could travel. That'd be fun. That'd be a wise investment of money. But you're not missing. You didn't miss anything. Honest to God, you didn't miss anything. I would also like your opinion on how to get past all this. I don't know, dude. You just have to live life and do, things I said before, pretty basic stuff. I know all this was long ago. I know I should have quit listening to my parents when I moved out. I know I shouldn't have let this affect me, but it does. Like I said, I'm way better than I was in my 20s. I'm very thankful. I know that things will get better, but I just don't want to be old and miss out on having a life. I don't know if you really millennial 20-something. What did you miss out on? Perfectly groomed beard, weaponized feminist women, Me Too. Everyone telling you should go to college, get a master's degree, skinny jeans, coif beards and hipsters, brew pubs, bro. You missed nothing. Your generation did nothing. At least my generation had kind of okay music. Kind of was different. Girls still wore dresses and weren't morbidly obese. You missed nothing. Nothing. You worked, you made money. You came out a king of the hill. And now you're in a perfect position to make the rest of your life and capitalize on the rest of your life. I just don't want to be old and miss out on having a life. Well, now you can have a life. I can't take drugs. The therapist honestly scares the crap out of me. I've tried a couple anyway. All they do is suggest breathing exercises, tell me they can't help me. Anything is okay. All right. Here's what I would do, man. Live life. Do what you want. I'm deadly serious. Go get the book, The Menu, and read through the men's menu. Because it gives you all the options. I know it's in the context of life without the opposite sex, but it gives you everything you can do in life. Everything that gives you value, purpose, happiness, joy, and meaning outside the opposite sex. But for you, what I would do, I'd travel. And I'd travel via motorcycle. I'd hop on I get my motorcycle license, I learn to drive it, take the safety courses, make sure you don't crash, drive around, get really used to it, and then I go travel. I drive across the country on a motorcycle. I don't know if your job allows for that, but I would ride motorcycle. I would go camping. You're running your 15 miles. I don't know if you're really serious or you were working 15 miles. I'd run, get some cardio, and I'd do what I want. Do you want to play video? Go play some video games. You want to get in a volleyball league? Go get in a volleyball league. I would realize that life is going to end. You're already a third, if not 40% through it. Make sure the remaining 2/3 of it is good. Now, getting over it, I don't know how you get over it. The only thing I could say is, well, you can let it, you can obsess about it and worry about the past and be pissed off about it, which will ruin the rest of your life. Or you can accept it like, yeah, it sucked, but I'm not going to live the remaining 2/3 of my life like the first third of my life and then move on. One of the main reasons I got with the girl is because I settled on one girl. I was like, this has not been fun. This has been hell. This has been a literal no bleep nightmare. I am done. This girl is nice and cooks. She's kind of, I'm going with her. But what about all the girls? I made a choice. I don't want my life to. At the same time about too, I'm like, I have had it with work. I'm going to go out and travel. I went to the Glacier. I hopped on the train, went to Glacier National Park. Now we're coming up on 20 years of adventuring and motorcycling and hiking and climbing and having a way better life than the first third of my life. Way better life. And I think that's what I would do. If you want something to focus on, is I would focus on making this next third of your life, make it so the first third was worth going the hell through. Because now that I'm, I did all the things, I did all this stuff and in an obscure way got here. I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. Because not only can I say, oh yeah, I totally made up for lost time. I can go to the past and go like this. Everyone who screwed me over and treated me like crap and lied to me, right there. Figured out your lies. Did the exact opposite of what you said. Look at me now. How you like me now? So there is no getting over the past. It's what happened that is cemented. You no doubt will suffer that for the rest of your life. But I would try to minimize the suffering and focus on the future. How to get all past from a psychological drug perspective. You got me? I don't know. There I go into basic. Don't drink, don't do drugs, run, exercise, eat right. Get yourself a healer. I mean, you got some money there. I'm not joking. Why don't you go get a girl, lady? Don't get emotionally attached. Just get yourself a little piece of a TNA once a month. Why don't you do that? And then go have fun, man. Here's what I want you to do. Go read the manual. Okay. That I do want you to do. And then I want you to come up with 3 things. 3 things you've always wanted to do and go do them. And then see how that goes. Another question is about making friends in general. I have a number of close friends, but having difficulty making fair weather friends. Most people think differently in somewhat incompatible way with me. I've been told my friends that the way I perceive the world is very different than the norm. I know that I'm different, but I can't see myself from the outside, so I can't really see how I'm different than most. Or like to understand how to interact with the normal person. I can have deep philosophical conversations if someone wants to have them, but have difficulty with watching a football game and drinking beer with a group of guys. Do you have any suggestions for being able to see myself from an outsider's point of view? No, not really. Here's the question. Do you want to hang out with normal people? Are you even capable? Another book I'm going to have you read is Curse of the High IQ. You may not be high IQ, but the ostracization and statistical principles in that book will still apply. Look, don't ask me how to make friends. All right. I just went through life, focused on my things, my stuff, and friends come naturally. If you try to find friends, you won't find them. Now, you could go do social things, and I play poker, and I run into kind of the same group of people all the time. I've become friends with them. But in what I said, find 3 things and go do it, you will find people there, and you will make friends. And you know what? Let's say you only make 1 friend out of 100 people. You go to, I don't know, a Masons group, and there's only 1 person there you really get along with. Cool. You got 1 friend. And I wouldn't worry about how do people view you from the outside. You are who you are. You're not going to change it. Be yourself. And then that way, people who are your friends will be friends with you for you. You don't have to act. I also wanted to ask you about one of the things you said in your last response. You said that you'd be happy if the whole world died and you still had your motorcycle. How would you live like that? I would ride my motorcycle. Of course, that wouldn't be possible because there'd be no one there to refine the gas and the oil. But that was the general idea. I'm not trying to be judgmental or anything, but I don't see how that's fulfilling. It's not. It's because I'm a misanthrope, and like 95% of the people I wouldn't miss and wouldn't care if they're gone, because only 5% of the people in this population are worth a damn. I wish every day that I was in a group that actually cared about me being there. I really want to know how you derive satisfaction like that. It's not it's not satisfaction to be lonely. You're viewing it the wrong way. I have an intense hatred for most people on this planet because they're parasites, they're not thinkers, they're NPCs, they waste their life. And because of their presence, and their mistakes and incompetence, they limit the amount of happiness and performance and things I can do and enjoy in this life. There is also where I'm angry at people where they would be friends or acquaintances, and it's like, hey, let's go do X. And everyone sits around, oh, I'm kind of tired, I'm going to stay in. Especially so when I needed help from some friends, and either they lost their communal shit, or they like, oh no, I can't do that. And it's just like, okay, all right, F you, F everyone. All right. That is retribution. That is not even retribution. That is, well, then no one's really worth hanging out with except for very few people. So why the hell are you people here? Get out of my way. And so if we did away with all those people, it'd be like what few people remain would be, oh, cool, I can actually be friends and we can be social. But yeah, it's just kind of like dead weight. Get out of here. Either go live. I have no patience for people who don't want to live life. I hate them. I hate them because you got this one gift and they sit there and they watch Tiger King or get fat or whatever it is. So that's the angle I'm coming from. To me, that's not living. It's just dying slowly. Yes, it is. It is. But that's better than suffering all the people driving slow from Nebraska and the incompetence and the welfare bums and the criminals and rioters and things like that you can't shoot. See? You're looking at human involvement as a good thing. It's like if you found a friend. Yeah, and I love my friends more than pretty much anything else. But for every one of them, there's 1,000 people I have to deal with that's just like, oh, I could do without you people. It is a misanthropic approach or a point. I really want to know how you're happy with this. I'd be content. I'd be not annoyed. I've kind of not necessarily given up on happiness, but I'll settle for contentment. But I will not tolerate being annoyed or pissed off or bothered or angered. Please read this out loud. I will not do that. That looks ridiculous. And so, no, I'm not going to do that. I really appreciate it. God bless you in abundance. All right. Well, thank you very much. There you go. Losing my voice. Losing my religion. Such crappy 90s music the sheep listened to. It wasn't enough. All right. Finishing for fun, $9 or $10. I just finished Bachelor of Science in Economics Business, following your advice by applying for entry-level accounting job that I have an in for, reading accounting for non-accountants to touch up on accounting. Yeah, I honestly, I just go back, get your degree in accounting. Your econ business degree is worthless. It's not worthless, but it's close. It's close. Juan, the Aztec Patriarch in the house. EAC 2611 4653, $5. Do you think anxiety is genetic or environmental? I would say a little bit both. I mean, obviously, you're going to be anxious in the battle war or battlefront. What percentage of each? In the United States, genetic 10%, environmental 90%. You think medication, cognitive therapy, or exposure is the answer? No, I do not. Because are there people that have like genuine panic attacks, like an actual legit mental disease? Yes. And therefore medication, I try to eschew that. Cognitive therapy, those would be treatments. But for your average rank and file, limp dick, pussy, coward, spineless American, like, oh, I got a B minus. I have anxiety. No, you're just weak and you never were forced to do anything. And no, you don't treat your soy boy son with drugs. You kick his ass. You make him go out and work. You make him do something. You get him in like boxing. No. Because it's it's not anxiety. It's just a weak person. And the solution isn't to treat a legitimate case of anxiety, a fake case of anxiety with legitimate treatments for a legitimate case of anxiety. The thing is like, hey, I got an idea. We're throwing you into junior MMA. And then you get punched in the face. Cobra Kai. We're going to get you into Cobra Kai. And you're going to stop being a pussy. And then when you get beaten up, you're not going to be anxious about your spelling test. You're going to be anxious more about your next wrestling match. Ahmed, $2. If buying in Texas, worrying about climate change or no, I'm not worried about climate change. I'm not. It's just not. It's not a thing. Did you know, Matt? $2 Canadian. It's Troy Francis level effort dating or go. True. You got to literally. There'd be times I'd ask out 20 girls in a week, multiple girls a day, just because I wanted to go out, and it worked. And you don't realize it at the time, especially if it's like you're like walking out like, "Hey, how you doing?" But it's exhausting after you stop. It's like you don't realize how much energy that takes. Like seeking arrangement, what? I just pay you. It's a fraction of the time and money. Here you go. Talbot Links, $20 generous. I had something similar with the holding down in grade school. It started after special ed kids started picking fights with me and other kids said I threw first. Eventually led to 2 teachers saying I should be 2 grades up. Good. Glad you got out. Glad you got up. Yeah, fight. Yeah, I can see for fighting kids, then the teachers hold you down. But if you mouth off, I'm trying to figure out how you get physical intervention. Super Penguin, $54.95, $10. Parents are old but won't leave New York City. I want to go live my life, but I feel an obligation to stay and help them in old age. Is there a moral duty to stay with them? Feel trapped, but also like kin betrayal. No, you have no obligation to stay with your parents. Period. Leave. You wrestle that demon. You know, I got a client who thinks he has to stick around with his parents in like the second worst city in the United States. How do I help him? You tell him to leave, and then that's it. Yeah, buddy, say bye. I'm leaving. If you want to move to Florida, come on down. Is that it? I think that's it. That's it. There you go. So some books that may help you guys with similar problems. The Menu Life Without the Opposite Sex. Reconnaissance Man. Curse the High IQ. Read them. Here you go. See you guys later. Toodles.